Today I'm sitting here with this question. How much self-awareness does one actually need to start building capacity, nervous system capacity, and just to become aware even of the difference between the two of them? And for me, I don't really have regrets in my life, but I'm pondering how the last 3-4 years of this looping that I spend in developing self-awareness and practicing self-awareness and investing in myself, maybe even harder than before, uh, were they necessary? And yes, they're always necessary, because wherever you're at, they're where you're at, and that's exactly where you need to be, right? So it's not like a judgment, but I can't not look at things from an efficiency perspective, right? I have that in me. And so let's say I spent about a good decade finding myself, understanding about myself, life coaching, all kinds of healing modalities, consciousness models, consciousness programs. So not just time, investments of all kinds, right? Money, lots of effort. And now I'm like, yeah, but the 3-4 years, there comes a point, there's a diminishing of return, right? And that's so yeah, I'm not regretful, but I can see how those were wasted. Loosely. And sorry, I'm a little bit on edge. I'm trying to talk about these things, but just and I wanted to be outside because it's such a wonderful day. It's perfect. But just not even 20 minutes ago, we had a bear just stroll through the property, and now sometimes they tend to stick around, right? And it was a small one, just a little fluffy, such a beautiful teddy bear. But still, I like to take pictures from the inside when they come through. So anyway, um, so I'm sitting with this question, right? Because now I'm very much aware that self-awareness and capacity are two different things. And I'm seeing it so clearly now because I'm just the other day, I'm meeting all kinds of people, and they're telling me, oh, I know a lot about nervous system regulation, and I'm well versed on this topic, and I know myself very, very much, and I'm very self-aware in conversations, and I'm very self-aware to my patterns of thinking, and how they connect, and how they bring me to my childhood, and all that stuff. But it really comes down to, okay, but how is that serving you in everyday life? Because for me, in those 3-4 years, that self-awareness was almost like an extra burden, really, because I could see and understand my perspective. I can understand and see other people's perspective. I can see things from neutrality, but can I hold that neutrality? Can I move from that neutrality? That is capacity, right? Can I make decisions that actually move me forward? No. I could. Did I inhale a bug? I feel like I did. Um, it was almost like I could sense and be aware, but at the end of the day, I would still be in those fires, fighting the 3-4 fires that were coming up through the week. The drama was ongoing. I could just handle it because my self-regulation was better. So I increased my tolerance to the crazy, but I wasn't still capable to take the decision that I needed to remove me from the drama, or to not have to fight, or to be in the friction of the separation I have self-awareness, and I have to work with you who are not. So the separation and fighting that separation was almost more difficult to withstand. Now that capacity has increased, now it's like that separation is diversity. That is on purpose, and that's the beauty of it. And it's not them versus me. And that's not just a simple reframe. That is not just a simple, I'm just shifting my point of view. That is, I have capacity in my nervous system to participate with diversity from a completely different state of being. We're talking about two different people. And so the question then, how much of the self-awareness, because obviously it's necessary to build capacity, but what's that moment where am I looping in me seeking myself out, or am I actually building capacity where the rules change? The holographic world takes a whole different understanding. Reality is palpable, different. I can now point to something and say, this is how my self-awareness literally, physically, tangibly changed the quality of my life. Versus before, if I was honest, and I got to this point where it's like, because it brings you to your knees. It's like, okay, I surrender. I don't know. I don't know what else you want from me. Like, I've done everything I had in my power, and my life is not changing. There's no tangible anything. So I'm starting Locate as a program, and I'm making this video, sure, as an invitation. I'm offering this, and not as a teacher, because look, I've been humbled enough where Locate stands on its own, and we're all learning, we're all students, we're all participating with this Locate. But in my awareness, my own mapping now, I find Locate to be the first capacity in a bigger capacity. The second one being remain. First, you locate yourself, and Locate is literally the coordinate system within that self-awareness. The difference is the way I used self-awareness before was that I was simply self-aware, and I was aware of that pause between my reaction and my response. But I'm in this practice that I'm starting in September, and that's part of the invitation. Check this out. But the second part, if for whatever reason you want to do stuff on your own, because at the end of the day, and what this all is about, my YouTube channel, is about resonance. So the other part 2 of the invitation is I'm giving you an extension of that invitation. Practice that within yourself. And resonance is free. This other practice is not. But I think it's worth it. It would have saved me 3 or 4 years, that's for sure. But what are we practicing? And I'm sharing this because I don't feel like I'm bringing any new information with this practice. It's all self-awareness that we've all, if you've been into nervous system regulation, it's all available. But here is the one mistake that I want us to repeat and then practice, and the group aspect. That's why it's like, can we build a bit bigger group here? Sign up so we can have the bouncing off. We're all serving as observers. The point is it's not enough to just pause in this locate. And again, what is locate? Instead of me saying, where am I right here, right now in my body? That's too long. Locate is my recall. I practice locate in meditation within my own space. But then when I need to bring that state in conversation, in relationship with somebody else, locate is my recall. I can call in. It's like a dog, like a parrot. It's my clicker, right? When I say locate, one simple word, my body can recall that state because it has practice. Now locate for me, and that it's more why it's more than a pause, is because it gives me the staying, the coordinate. What are my coordinates? What is my reality right now? Reality for me right now is the tangible. What is physically real? I can feel the tightening in my jaw. I can feel the constriction in my chest, sometimes right in my neck, because I can't quite express what it is that I'm feeling. And because those types of sensations are more difficult to stay with, that's why the second capacity is remain, but we first have to locate. What are those things? What are the happenings at a physical level, at the sensory level, at the reality level in me, right here, right now, before I interpret? Okay, and stay with me here for an example just this weekend, because I'm practicing this, and I'm really, and why the humbling, because it's like, even though I've been practicing for years, I can speak about it. I keep getting humbled in how many ways and in how many smaller things. And the trick now, I'm realizing, it's in the little everyday, not with the big things, but the locate now is so minuscule. So this weekend this is my story. We have this area in our house that I've considered for 3-4 years now as a dead space, because it has so many windows and doors, and that it's open to the living room, and it's not private at all, and it's just more long, and but it's still small. With the furniture that we already have, I couldn't find a way to make this room still feel spacious enough, like where it's not cramped, so that it's usable, like even find its functionality, because it's so open and it's sort of in the middle of the house, but it's at the second level. Anyway, finally, I've been pondering, because I need more house, I need more space, and it's like, I should have, physically, in the square footage that we have, there should be more house, yet this house is getting smaller. So how do I make use of this dead space? So I'm sitting with this, and I have an idea, right? So in the morning, it was the weekend, I'm going up to my husband and say, hey, can we talk about the space? I have a couple ideas how I want to reorganize and move some of the furniture from the basement. He's also in the space where, like, oh, I kind of gave up. Like, I don't know how to reorganize this room, because it just doesn't fit, right? And like, so we just, both of us, we kind of like, oh man, it's just this one section of the house is just there. And he's basically, yeah, whatever you want to do, that sounds fine. I don't care. So he goes about his way, but I'm kind of pumped, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He doesn't care. He's fine. So I have my son help me move some stuff, because it was light enough. We move it. He comes back. He looks at it, and it's like, yeah, that's fine. Sure. I don't care. And I'm like, oh, good, yeah. This really feels good to me. I'm so proud of myself. I've got so much stuff done today, right? Because I got to organize 2 other areas of the house with this event. So the next day, he gets up, kind of starts talking about this area that I moved that he didn't care about, and he kind of builds upon it, and then finally he says, I really don't like this one piece of furniture, which served as a buffet. So we have, not only we have the space, but we also have these little furniture pieces that I don't have the dining room that I used to have. But he made it, so it has sentimental value. We can't give it away or whatever, get rid of it. So now we're repurposing even, and we're redefining what this piece of furniture is, but it's essentially a buffet. And he's like, I don't like how it is in the corner. It doesn't fit. Now, I thought, and hear me out, right? I thought I went about this the right way. I thought about it myself. I went to him in the morning. I communicated. I shared my thoughts. He basically, sure, whatever. I'm fine with whatever you want. I don't care. Do whatever. Then I don't take any time out of his day. I do it all myself, right? So now I have initiative. I have authority. I have authorship. I have work invested in this thing. And then the third day, he gets me with, I don't like this. And talking about triggers, I am a fire sign, and so I don't know if there's any mild triggers. I can either stay with something and I'm good, like it doesn't touch me because I already made up my mind that thing is not getting to me. Or I go from 0 to 100 in no time. And so I'm listening and it's building, and then he says, I don't like this. And I go from 0 to 100, right? That trigger is right there. Because I worked a whole day to get this dead space into something functional. But I've been practicing locate. So as I'm feeling my body just like, I have enough practice in me to go, okay, this is locate time, here we go. So I'm literally sitting with my coordinates. What are my coordinates? What is happening in my body right there, right then? I could feel my jaw tightening, the usual, right? I could actually sense it was not so much my throat, because I had stuff to say. I had no problem with what I wanted to say on that subject. So in that case, my throat was clear. But my chest, kind of around my armpits, actually, it was just like I could feel all that started to tightening around that area. I could feel how I was getting restless and how I wanted to stand up. But maybe because I was practicing a little bit longer, I could literally hear the echo of my thought that I haven't actually thought, because I'm just locate, what's my coordinate, feel it in my body. But the echo of my thought was, here you fucking go with your inconsistency, right? That was I already knew what I was gonna say. That is my interpretation. And that is the power of locate, because typically is the self-awareness, the pause, but then the interpretation comes in. You are inconsistent, right? That's my interpretation of it. And if I already made up my mind that my husband is inconsistent, then the pause becomes self-regulation. I literally self-regulate from what I've already interpreted. Locate catches me before I make that interpretation. It forces me to stay with my coordinates. And the pause was longer, and I wasn't even aware that I'm just sort of frozen here. But I was self-regulating and counting my coordinates, like literally what I was feeling, I was articulating before I allow my thoughts to go into, you're so inconsistent, that he started to slow down. And that pause was a little bit awkward. And he then was like, well, the reason why I'm saying that, and he started to literally explain to me why that piece of furniture wasn't in the corner. And he goes into this whole thing of the asymmetry of the shape of the piece of furniture, whatever the thing is, buffet, because that's what it is, doesn't match with the space between the window and the door, and the height. The buffet is too tall, and the way the lines of the window is and the way it matches the buffet. And he literally slows down and explains all these different lines and how they meet in that corner of the room in a way that I can understand. And that's what I need. I need to understand why these things don't match up for him. Once I have that understanding, I calm down because there is a reason behind that. Not just like, yeah, I just don't like it. After I worked all day, right? And so I'm able to sit there. And now notice, I said nothing so far. All the things are just happening internally, counting my coordinates in locate. And it's just him reflecting back what is happening and what I actually need. And once he finishes his explanation, I sit there and I go, you're right. I see what you're saying. And I see how all this geometry, you're right. It doesn't match the corner. We look around and we're like, what if we swap this other piece of furniture with this buffet thing? And this thing fits better in this place. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. I had to help a little bit, but then he undid all the stereo equipment that this other piece of furniture sat on. Anyway, he did that work. At the end of the third day, I got the space better than I wanted. I had the cooperation that I wanted, his input, because really at the end of the day it is our space. We both move in through that, and it's our house. And I wanted that cooperation that I didn't get the first day. But now, third day, I have it. I also had his help. I didn't do it all by myself. I get to practice locate, and I'm just sitting there half an hour later after this whole thing, and I'm like, I can't believe how this shit works in more ways than I can understand. And it's the other thing is how much and with how little things throughout my day I interpret before I locate myself. Now I have also built capacity that I remain. I can be in that state for long enough where other things like his nervous system can regulate, and my trigger won't trigger his nervous system, and it won't start a fight over something stupid. I mean, last time it was some stupid shelves, like literally, right? But it's like, isn't that our life? Isn't that our daily quality life? So now I'm like, wow, I can literally point to something, how this practice is literally increasing the satisfaction in not just with the bigger things, but it's pointing how extensive I'm interpreting before I allow my system to fully express what it feels, and allow other people who are engaged in that relationship to fully, because communication, spoken communication is very little. I forget, 10%, I forget what it is, right? So when the other people is entangled, like partners are so entangled, right? And so when he could sense, because there was like some crazy chemistry, he could understand somehow that I need something more. And he extended something that I needed for me without needing to ask. I don't know, it was just magical. So I want you to practice this again, because resonance matters. I don't have to know you. I would like you to leave me a comment. I would like you to, for me to know you. But I also know that it goes beyond that. I believe in entangle. I don't have to believe. I'm seeing it work. And it's, reality is literally shifting in a way that I'm just now beginning to understand. And so I urge you to look at these things and to take locate seriously, but not seriously like that, right? Play with it, make it your own, because it stands on itself, and we're all students of it, regardless of how much you know, what you're capable of. It will find a way. You only have to know. The only thing you have to say is, I know how to do this. I understand this. Trust me. You do that, you say that, it will find a way to humble you within the week. Anyway, let me know. How do you play with locate? How is locate changing your life? I can't wait to hear about these stories. So have a beautiful practice. I'll see you around in the ether.